Hello everyone. I am Alyan Fiverrwala, and today we have the privilege of diving into a captivating conversation with a remarkable individual who is passionately dedicated to weaving together the thread in the traditional English knowledge and the challenges of the modern world. So join me in welcoming Mr. Adrian, a true change maker and community weaver. So hello sir, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for the invitation, Alyan. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Welcome. Thank you for welcoming me, and looking forward to what you say will be a captivating conversation. So, yeah, let's get into it.
I am very thankful to you, sir, for coming in my show and giving me your precious and valuable time for the interview. Thank you so much for coming.
Yes, happy to be here. I heard about your show to hear about different success stories. So happy to share mine. And yeah.
All right. So before moving on the question, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Adrian Röbke. I'm coming from the south of Germany, actually, from a small town called Fürth. And for the last 10 years, I've been dedicated to create change in our societies. I know that many of you can relate to this of, seeing in the news that there are so many wars and conflicts and injustices and, the climate crisis. So, yeah, as I said, 10 years ago, I found that I want to contribute to make a positive difference and use my talents, my skills, my knowledge to be of service. And it's been very purposeful to do this work. I'm the co founder of different organizations. My current organization is called Indigenous and Modern. We're going to talk more about that later. And yeah, I'm happy to be here with all of you.
That's great. Thanks so much for the wonderful introduction. So can you share any upcoming project of initiative related to intelligence and modern that you are particularly excited about?
Yeah, of course. So maybe just giving all of you also like some context about our work with Indigenous and Modern, and then I'm going to share more about the projects for sure. So 3 years ago, I met with Joshua Konkanko. He's an Indigenous elder from Cameroon in Africa, and with Isabel Genaro. She's from Brazil, and together we really saw that it's important to bring together ancient knowledge and ancient wisdom of indigenous communities who have been aligned with nature and with each other, and that at the same time also modern technology and science. And so this is where the idea was born. And we do a lot of leadership development. So we work with leaders all across the globe who are working in social projects, and we help them to develop their projects. For example, we've been working with Puneet, who is in India. He's working in a slum in Delhi to create more rights for disabled people. We've been working with Celestine in Africa, who has been working on new forms of agriculture that are more sustainable and preserving, the nature. Um, so this is just like a little bit of context of what we're doing, and all of this has been online. All of you've been probably like with the pandemic. We had to move a lot of things online. And this year is going to be the year where we're finally going to do something in person. So we want to organize some events in Scotland, in England, and in Spain for now, just to have a start. And we're bringing another indigenous mentor, Leah is her name, from Brazil to Europe. And then we're really having an event with people. There's going to be some speaking, some mentoring, some coaching. So that's really exciting because, then you're really in the room with people and you feel more the energy of people participating. So I'm really looking forward to that and just traveling together and organizing these events. So yeah, that's the initiative I'm particularly excited about.
That's awesome. So, what key initiative or activist are you currently involved in as a part of Indians and Modern project?
Yeah. So, yeah, as I said, we do a lot of leadership development activities. I'm coaching people one on one. This is more about helping people to identify their purpose. So I know that the theme of your show is unlock the success story, and I'm really exploring like what does success mean to me. And I think we have this idea in society that it's oftentimes about having more, right? Like more money, a bigger house, more followers, more, things on social media going on. And that might be part of success, but for me, success is very connected to your purpose, to my purpose. So I feel like there is something that we're here to contribute in the earth. We were all given unique abilities, unique talents, and there is so much need in the world as well, in our local communities, in our neighborhoods, in our families, with the ecological ecosystems. So for me, success is really about how do we realize our purpose, and how do we step into the world with kindness and compassion, and create well-being for ourselves and others. So the coaching that I'm doing is really about that, helping people who feel like a little bit lost or confused around, what's actually my purpose, like what's my key contribution in the world, and also most importantly, how can I make it real, right? How can I earn a living with it? How can I build a business around my purpose? So I'm helping people do that, also with methods that I've learned from my shamanic mentor in Brazil. So it's a lot about working not just from here, from the head, but really also working from the heart, and bringing things into practice from there. So that's something that I'm just launching, working one on one with people, and I'm excited about that. And then we're working with some large organizations. We got hired to do a report in capacity building for a group of people who want to build bridges between corporations and financial institutions, businesses, and also indigenous and local communities. Now, that's a very challenging topic, because in the past, but still today, these corporations that go into the rainforest or wherever the indigenous peoples are situated, and they are starting to destroy the land. Indigenous peoples are being persecuted. There is a lot of violence. So obviously there is a lot of tension and a lot of harm and a lot of pain in this relationship. So the question that we're working on, okay, how can you actually build authentic partnerships, and how can you heal some of these relations, and what would corporations and financial institutions need to change if we take it serious, and if we are really real about preserving and regenerating nature. So that's something else that we're working on. But there's many different projects. So one thing about my work is that I'm involved in 10-20 things at the same time. So I always have to, move my attention around. But those are two things that I'm really passionate about. So building the connections between corporations and indigenous peoples, and then the coaching, which is all about how can you realize your purpose, and how can you build an initiative or a business around your purpose. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, how do you envision the impact of Indigenous and Modern on blending traditional Indigenous knowledge with modern practice?
Yeah, that's a great question, because in the end, that's also really what our work is about. So you have traditional businesses, and their goal is oftentimes just to generate more money, more profit, right? And it can often become very greedy. So success in traditional businesses is often defined just by more money, more followers. So what we are doing is we are an impact business or a social business, which means that yes, we are generating revenue to pay, the bills, to pay our employees. But the main goal of it is to create a bigger societal change, a societal impact. Now, one big piece that's like the long-term vision of all of this, right, is that right now in the 21st century, we're living in a times of very big crisis and very big transformation. So you know this yourself. We have limited time to change the patterns of consumption, how we're dealing with each other. You already see more and more wars erupting. You see the water running out, right? So, and just as I speak about it, you can notice how it's becoming overwhelming, right? In the news, you always hear these messages of like, oh my God, so many things. So, but underneath that, there's also many, many people, millions of people who start to, in their own way, create initiatives and projects to create change, and this change is also about the evolution of consciousness in our systems, so that these systems, these institutions in our societies are actually serving the well-being of all. Now, that's a big vision, and there's many people working on it. And we are here to support these change makers. So this support is both about really hands-on project work. So if you're building an initiative, you need to get the money, the resources, the people. You need to bring these people together and kind of create a shared purpose. You maybe need to create a business model, a project plan, and implement it. So it's very strategic, tangible things that we're working with our leaders with. And at the same time, in order to do all of that, you also need to have a lot of inner resilience and kind of mindfulness and clarity, and also what I've been sharing before about your purpose. You need to have a clarity around your purpose. So we're also doing a lot of inner development through mindfulness, through shamanic practices, so people can really connect deeply with themselves and see, what is my vision for the world? What do I want to create? And then they're going out in the world and developing their projects. So if I look 5-10 years in the future, we've helped, thousands, tens of thousands of social change leaders to do their work better, both in the inside with their resilience and in the outside with their projects. And that will lead to a change in their communities, because imagine, like I mentioned the example of Celestine, right? She's in Kenya. She's working on new ways of agriculture to preserve the biodiversity and the seeds. Now, if Celestine becomes a more skilled leader and she's working with a community of 100 people in her village, then she will reach those 100 people, and it will create a change. It will create a ripple effect of change in her context, right? So because we supported Celestine, we also support these 100 people in her village. And if we support 1,000 leaders over the next couple of years to do a great job in their communities, then we'll reach tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands eventually, because these leaders are like multipliers. They go out in the world and they do amazing work, and they inspire others, they educate others, and that's how our impact can ripple very widely because of how we're approaching this. Was that clear for you? Do you have any kind of follow-up questions on this, or yeah?
All right, that's awesome. So, what challenges have you encountered while working on this project and how you navigated them?
Yeah. So many challenges, of course. there's always many challenges, especially if you want to build something by yourself. So if you want to become impact entrepreneur, or you really want to become a change maker, I think first of all there is the challenge of kind of reprogramming yourself, because society, as I said, tells us we have to earn more and do more and like go into this whole rat race of things that might not even really fulfill us, but it's important somehow. So you need to make a choice to say, okay, what is currently happening is not just, it's not right that we're destroying the planet, that we're destroying each other, and also to realize that you have a contribution to make, right? So for me, that was a very long process. It's also still ongoing, to say, I have a responsibility, I have something to give, and I need to make choices that are aligned with my values, where I feel like, okay, this is important, that I'm going a different path. So I think that's the first challenge, to have the courage to live a different life, because there is the path, the beaten path, that many people are going, and then there is the path that you need to create yourself. And nobody, of course, people can help you, people can mentor you, people can support you, and you can be in community. But ultimately, it's also a very, at times at least, a very lonely thing, because you need to find out, what's my direction, what's my path, what's my next step, and how can I align that with my highest purpose. So I've had many challenges around that, and also connected to that, I think the grief, or there's just this feeling of being overwhelmed that I already mentioned. Like if you look out in the world, there are so many problems. So where to start? Like what to do? Like you could look into the wars that are happening and kind of try to do some peacemaking there, or you can look into unhealthy consumption patterns, and how much plastic there is in the oceans. And all these problems are so big, right? So it becomes very quickly, it becomes very overwhelming. So I think a part of the challenge is then to kind of narrow it down and find your own niche. So it's to find your own unique contribution and to choose, like what is the scale that I'm working in. So maybe you want to work more locally with just your community. My work is very global, so I work with a lot of communities, but for you that might just be in your local school, or in your country or whatever. So choosing the kind of scale, right? Then choosing what kind of topics do you feel most passionate about. Like, is it conflict resolution and peace, or is it new ways of producing and consuming food, or is it social justice, or is it biodiversity? So there is also these big fields within these whole problems. So choosing that is important. And then ultimately also, what's the kind of form that you want to choose? Do you want to create an organization? Do you want to be a founder of something? Right, so that's a different approach. Or do you want to join an existing organization? Like there's many local communities and many global movements that you can join. So I think making these kind of choices, it's very challenging, because the problems are so big. The problems are not, okay, I want to create a business and earn more money, but the problem is, how do we create new forms of society, and how do we create more well-being for all beings on earth, right? So it's a very big mission, and then you need to find a niche. So for me, that's been very challenging. And the last challenge I'm going to mention, because as I said, there are many. The last challenge is, once you find what you're really passionate about, and you start to meet the right people, you start to really get into action, you build your first project, and you're like, yeah, this is the direction I want to go to. It's a lot of work, and there's always this sense of like, okay, I could do more, like okay, maybe I'll do, in your case, I'll do that interview, and then I do the next one, and like, oh, this is interesting, right? So there's always more things to do. And it's very important to keep oneself grounded in order to not burn out. 7 years ago, I went through a burnout when I was just 22, because I've been working too much. And in that sense, it's important to always keep keep care of your well-being, and I run into challenges around that myself, that I'm taking on too much and my plate is too full. I have like 10 projects, and then it's hard to keep up. So yeah, that's another challenge.
Okay, wonderful. So, what lesson have you learned from your experience as a change maker and communicator weaver that you apply to your work and indigenous and modern?
Yeah. Um, yeah, let's just do 3 lessons again. I think that's easy. So the first lesson is always focus on trust and relationships. Again, just to contrast with business as usual and like corporations, there's so much focus on goals and key performance indicators, and the bottom line, like the money, the revenue, the profit. And you see so many people being part of very toxic work cultures, like just compromising their well-being, and working themselves to death, and for what, right? For the benefit of the company. So one big lesson that I learned with any community, with any organization, focus on the relationships between people, and make sure that they really know each other, they like each other. There's like a deep level of trust between these people, and a sense of belonging. Like, I belong to this group. I really feel the mission. I'm aligned with my values. I want to do this work. And that creates a deep sense of energy and a deep sense of alignment for everybody who is participating. So I find it always surprising, with the teams that I'm working with, like how many things we are getting done in the end. Like, we're very productive in that sense, but we also have a good time. We take time to play, to meditate, to exchange. How was your weekend? Like, we really build also friendships in our organizations. So this is really a lesson about culture. Create a space in your organization that feels good for people, where people feel a sense of belonging and a sense of resonance and trust with each other. The second lesson, I think, is a lot about discipline and persistence, because whenever you want to build something that's great, that's excellent, that people really feel resonant, you're going to need a couple of years at least. Like, the first 1 or 2 years are just setting up, like creating an overall brand identity and a structure and a core idea. And then you need to keep on putting in a lot of energy over a long period of time to really generate some momentum. So it took us now 3 years to set up Indigenous and Modern, and now we're at a place where we have a existing revenue model. We have worked with hundreds of people across the globe. We have references of people really enjoying to work with us, but all of this takes a lot of time. And you, as an entrepreneur, as a change maker, you need to have a lot of discipline and persistence, and courage. Again, this word courage, right? To pull through with it and to not give up. And some days that's harder. Some days it's easier. But it's about that inner resilience and also the grit of continuing. And the third lesson is to really also then trust the process. So this is something that I've been learning a lot from my co-founder and the indigenous elder, Joshua Konkanko. He's always been saying, look, Adrian, we're building this thing as we go, and we need to trust the process. So it's not about being at some kind of end goal in the future, right? But it's about really, while you're doing the things that you're doing, enjoy as well. You're not gonna, like, success, impact, all of these things. It's not a static state which is in the future, because like oftentimes we're like, oh, it's in the future, right? And I have to hustle and to get there, and then we're missing the process, and we're missing seeing how we grow and learning and enjoying the process. So, both in life, but also when building an organization, it's important to celebrate, and it's important to, to trust that whatever it is that you're building has a meaning for some people, and in the future it might have meaning for others. But in any case, it's great that you're trying. So that's another lesson I'm learning, and it's very connected to what I've been sharing about well-being and burnout. That if you have that trust in the moment, it's easier to let go and to kind of keep on going with some joy and some energy and some passion. Yeah.
That's wonderful, sir. So, thank you so much, Mr. Adrian, for sharing your inspiring journey and insight with us today. Your dedication and branding indigenous wisdom and the modern world is truly, and your work is fostering positive change and community building is and inspiring to us all. So, thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you for creating the interview and reaching out. I hope it was meaningful for all of you who are watching. If you have any questions, just reach out. I guess you can have my
Yeah,
contact
I mentioned.
somewhere. Yeah, and I think my last words are just like to really wish you all the best, and to encourage you, to try to go different paths, because the world right now, we really need people, visionaries and change makers, and inspiring people who are doing this work and who are not doing what we know doesn't work, and what destroys the earth and creates conflict and all of that. But we need people who act from a place of peace and compassion, and love for each other and for the planet. And I feel like we owe that to ourselves as humanity, to try. I know that oftentimes it can feel hopeless when you see all the things in the news, and you feel very small and very little, and like, oh, there is nothing I can do to change it. But trust me, like from the last 10 years of my experience, if I didn't do what I did do, many people in many communities would be in a different place right now. And but through collaborating with others, through finding my community, through finding mentors, through really working with persistence and discipline and courage, yeah, I made a difference, and we made a difference together in our community. So you can do the same for your people, for your family, for the planet. And I urge you to do it, because we need to change. We need to change in these times, and we can change. And yeah, so find that fire within your heart, and bring it out into the world, and offer it to others. Offer your gifts, offer your talents. It's very important right now, and I wish you all the best on that path. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind word. Thank you so much, sir.